Good morning. How y'all feeling out there? I'm Omi Bell, and my co-host Takia Ross is not here with me today. She is on her way back from Seoul, Korea, so she'll be here on Monday. Yeah, look at me. I'm out here by myself and I'm late. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Because you know what happened? You ever already running late and then your computer need to update. Like, why did it need to update today? Why did today have to be on the day where I'm like running right down to the wire? Was the day that my computer, that line, when my computer was loading up, that line was like, and I'm like, come on, please. I need to get these people in here. What are you doing? But here we are. Okay, we made it in. We made it in on this Good Friday. And today makes day 10 of the 30-day show. And I'm so excited to be here, excited to be able to talk to the people, bring y'all some different entrepreneurs and people working on some different wonderful things and opinions and all that. So like I am excited to do that, bring people up. Also, we might jump into a little bit of news. You know what I mean? I think that like that's where we get, because when I'm on here by myself, I don't have nobody to riff off of. So then I just riff to the different news that's coming out. And I just want to say, Dominique Morgan, I don't know if y'all know who Dominique Morgan is, if you follow her or not, but she is a woman who worked for a nonprofit that supports like the trans community. And she allegedly, right, or was accused of doing something with the funding or something like that, and was told that she had to go to jail, and some other stuff happened. But she's a very prominent influencer, and one that I actually enjoy listening to her takes and her processing of things. And I just saw a post from her because she was quiet for a minute. And then there's a bunch of think pieces about her and why she got locked up and she blah, 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 blah. But now she's back. And I open up, this is what my ADHD does. I open up Instagram to get the streaming keys so I can connect the keys. And I saw her post and I was like, oh my God, I got to hear what she's saying. And she was saying, and I was like, I can't, I got to go. So my computer's updating. I'm stuck on the scroll. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's Friday. Takia ain't here. It's crazy right now. So I just want to say, stay with me as I get it together. Okay. This is the 30-day show. This is the BGV edition. If you're just joining us, you hadn't joined for the 30-day show before. The way it works is now when I do the 30-day show on my platforms outside of BGV, I go live for 30 straight days, weekends included. For BGV, we're a nonprofit, it's a business. We are doing Monday through Friday for 30 days at BGV. And at the end of this 30 days, we're gonna have a TikTok telethon. So on June 18th, we're gonna run a TikTok telethon to raise money for BGV. The climate has changed. Things are looking different. I think I've been trying to decide on how I want to share what I feel like was some of my successes and learning lessons from building BGV, right? Like here we are in this climate that is extremely shifted in terms of just like how the care for organizations serving under-resourced, underrepresented communities in general. And we had big bets on corporate dollars for BGV. And corporate dollars have always been the easiest to bring in. Individual donors have about an 18-month relationship span. Like you had to steward before you even get a dollar from a high net worth individual donor. You're talking about 18 months of constant building relationship. And as a small nonprofit, I think I over-indexed on corporations because that's what I know. And I under-indexed on creating the staff layers early enough on that would allow me to just shake hands and kiss babies for 18 months, right? Like, I think I tried to do both. And I think that then when with the climate shift, it brings on a lot of realities around like, okay, well, now we don't have a full 18 months of runway to build a relationship with donors. And also now we got to face some realities around how we place our bets on working with corporations. And there's layers to that. In different ways. Don't get me wrong. We do have individuals that have donated BGV, and a special thank you to the families that have just donated to BGV just by sending checks in the mail. The people who we get, even small donations from corporations, from corporate employees that just donate through their campaigns at work, or those who go to our donor box, like go to BGV .org, blackgirlventures.org, and hit the donor link and then have employee matching. Like there has been, it's not to say that we didn't spend any time with individuals, but in times like this for a nonprofit, individuals can carry you through because there are people who still believe regardless of what the landscape does. You know what I mean? And we have big impact at BGV. So it's not for a lack of doing the work either. And so I think I might reveal or talk about some of that more publicly as the year goes on, to really share with people like what we're still actively doing. Like we're still actively fundraising. So the TikTok telethon on June 18th. And we're also, that campaign will be $19 for the 19th. So we're asking everybody in celebration of Juneteenth this year to give $19 to BGV. Of course, we love for you to give more. But the reality is we also haven't been asking the general public for much either. So we haven't been doing strong like fundraising campaigns and ongoing donation campaigns to our general audience. And we have a decent sized audience. So it's time for that now. And I want to get ahead of it fairly early. So I'm about 6 months out before your favorite TV show might get canceled kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like we're about like we got some time to really hit the pavement and really fundraise. And so we're gonna do that. Yeah, we're gonna do that. We're gonna say, okay, this climate is what it is, and our audience will show up for us, and the people that believe inside of corporations will show up for us. The people that have worked with us, that know our work, that know our work, that know our value, that know the value of the community we serve will show up for us. And I think that's like keeping that in mind as you build, that like sometimes it feels like nothing is showing up, no one is showing up. How do I get through this moment? How do I push through? And you have to step back and be like, well, wait a minute, you know what? People are showing up for me. Even if sometimes it's like, sometimes it's spiritual. Sometimes like the show up be like the social media post that hit you at the right time that you needed it. You know what I mean? The pop song that showed up on the radio at the time you wasn't expecting it in your rotation to keep you going. So I'm not telling y'all all of that is like doom and gloom about BGV, right? I am telling y'all all of that to know the seriousness of where we are as an organization, and that we need your support. Generally speaking, blackgirlventures.org, click the donate button. And for the things that we have upcoming. Every engagement with us also keeps us going. So we have a summit coming up. The summit's going to be in DC. You can go. It's called Futures We Build Summit. I'm going to drop the link actually for everybody. I'm going to drop the link for everybody to go to it's just bit.ly BGV link. That says BGV links to find out all those things. But you can actually go. You can go and participate, right? Like go donate, buy a ticket to something, like all of that matters. Even though like the ticket is something that's us also serving back. We want to do that. We want mutual connection to people. And so, yeah, I would empower and encourage you to support. I don't want to be like that favorite TV show that you looked at me like, dang, our favorite TV show is getting canceled and there is nothing we can do about it. That's not this. There is absolutely something you can do about the future of BGV, and that is donate. So saying all that to say, I got three. Actually, do I have three? Three awesome conversations coming up this morning, centered around building, right? Like people building things, people building amazing things that they see as a challenge in the world that needs to be solved, that they see is something that they can offer, and that they see um that they have seen fit. You know, you see a problem, you're the solution, and so you start doing it. I have our first guest. Her name is Avadni. And it's funny, we have, I don't know if y'all are related, but there's a Omi homie, her name is Avadine, as well. I don't know if y'all are related or not. She's actually watching right now too, so I don't know if that's your somebody related to you, but we can talk about it. I thought it was her actually when I saw the name. But I don't see many people with the name, so I'm like, that's really interesting. Um, Coming to the stage, I want to welcome her. She is Evadine is a New York City-based e-commerce and marketing executive and a founder with over a decade of experience scaling beauty and fashion brands across DTC, Amazon, and TikTok Shop. She is currently head of e-commerce for Vivienne Sabot Paris, where she is leading the U.S. market expansion. Evadine has previously driven results at SkinFix, Ciroc Beauty, and other emerging brands, delivering consistent double-digit revenue growth. She is also the founder of Reverie, a soon-to-launch fragrance brand and print magazine exploring diasporic emotion and memory. She builds cultural brands the way she lives, with intention, depth, and authenticity. I love that. So come to the stage. Here we go. Welcome.
Hey, Omi, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you. First of all, let me say shout out to you for getting on here by yourself at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Are you on the West Coast
I'm
too?
in Brooklyn, yeah.
Oh, no, I'm on the West Coast. Yeah,
I
it is.
know.
Yes, which means I have to get up at 5 and try to get it together. But
Yeah, but you
it's
look
so
good.
worth it. Yeah, it's so worth it to have these conversations. Am I pronouncing your
Mhm.
name right? Is it Evadne?
It's Avadni.
Evadne.
And I'm shout out to Twin. I don't know who she is, but whenever I'm like, someone tells me I know someone or I heard of someone or I got a cousin with this name, I'm like, there's like four of us. So shout out to you. I was actually named after my grandma. So that's where I got my name from. But yeah.
Ah,
Mhm.
okay. 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 I love that. So tell me a little bit about, so you've been spending quite a bit of time building other people's brands, and now you're deciding to build your brand.
Yeah. It's
And tell
been,
me about that, because that's a pivot, right? That we don't
it,
talk about. Like, what you said, is it?
it is. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. And so, because you could be quite comfy building other people's brands and be like, this is my lane. This is just what I do. You know what I mean? And now
Mhm.
you're deciding to branch out and build your own. Tell me
Yeah.
about that. What sparked this decision to be like, I've done it for them, I could do it for myself?
Honestly, that was what sparked the decision because for me, it's like I've been in ecom, I've been in marketing for 10 plus years. So I know the type of growth I'm bringing. I know like the type of scale, the revenue I'm bringing into these brands. So it's just like a no brainer for me. Why wouldn't I do it for myself? I've like touched so many different pieces of beauty businesses. And my background is founder led brands. So I've been, boots on the ground, like super closely working with them. So it just exposed me to so much and how they even fundraise and how they deal with, board members and investors. And a lot of people don't really get that experience. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
fortunate for that because it gave me the experience and the wisdom that I needed to not start my own thing and make some of those common mistakes that other founders may make just because of simply not knowing or having bad advice or just there's so much information on the internet, so sometimes it's hard to decipher what's real or not. So anyway, yeah, it was just like, why not? I've been working in beauty for the last 5 years. I started in fashion, and I've always worked around creative people who are always, they have this project, they have this project. So I've been always working on something. And now I'm at a point in my career, I'm a decade in. I'm like, now is the time. I'm getting older. My daughter is getting older. She's getting ready to go to high school. So now I have more time. Just like mentally, emotionally, spiritually, I feel like I'm in a better place. So, why not now?
I hear you 100%. And I think too, the reason why I'm excited to hear, what your thought process was, is because right now we're living in such uncertain times, like I was talking about, and so many people are being laid off.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or leaving or exiting the workforce. I don't even know what the number is up to at this point in terms of Black women exiting the workforce. I think it was 300,000 at one point. I think is upwards of 600,000 right now. Don't quote me on that. You have to look up the numbers. But I do think people are having that conversation with themselves. I've been an executive for X, Y, and Z Corporation. We're also seeing this with different people leaving the different media outlets they work for, right? It's like, I've been over here building their brand. I've been over here building their thing. Now, what do I want to do? Now, like, how do I transfer those skills from one place to another? And then what does that look like? And then what's the gap in between the transferable skill and what it actually takes to really build and run? What do you feel like might be great support for you in the transition? I don't know if you're planning to like build Reverie on the side and just kind of like still work, or are you planning to like take the big leap of like completely leaving all work and go like what so that's my first question. Are you taking like the big leap? You're like, corporate's been nice, I'm out. Or are you gonna kind of like go a little bit slower, branch it out, build it, launch it, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I am completely bootstrapping this. So I wish I could be like, bye, I'm gone, but I can't afford to do that. I have bills. New York City is a very expensive place. So my 5-year plan is to stay employed, build this on the side, try to get grants, lean on my community for their support. And yeah, just try to build that and maybe leave corporate in like 3 to 4 years. So I do eventually want to leave corporate. And that's the other reason too, burnout. In my last position, I was so burnt out. And I know so many Black women in my community, just everywhere, they can relate to that. You spend years at a company, you're putting in all this work and you're still being undermined and undervalued. And I think that's just the broader conversation that's happening right now about like, all of these Black women who have been pushed out of corporate or left corporate and deciding to step into entrepreneurship. And I think that's a very important conversation to have about ownership. Like I've been thinking about that a lot lately, being in the beauty space, for example. The hot topic this week was the Esther and the Patrick Todd drama about, this beautiful Black woman artist. She is known for this specific look. And it's happened in any industry, honestly, where, Black women create something, and because we don't have a huge audience, our ideas are stolen, and whoever has the most capital is able to benefit from it. So I think it's super important for us to, look at what are we actually getting out of corporate? Is this still serving us? Like 10, 15, 20 years ago, that was the playbook. And now it's looking like ownership and entrepreneurship and betting on ourselves is kind of the move.
So what she's mentioning is in recent news, the Pain About Esther artist dispute centers on a major controversy in the beauty community where independent creator Esther Adime accused celebrity makeup artist Patrick Todd of appropriating her signature transition blush technique and attempting to trademark the phrase on his own brand new product launch. The technique, which was popularized by her, is a highly specific gradient blush application called a transition blush, utilizing a powder puff, quickly making it, it became a viral sensation because of that. She claimed that Esther is claiming, is that Todd's team previously reached out to book her for a glam session to specifically film her techniques. Shortly after, Patrick Todd Beauty announced a blush duo using the same tool, wording, and application style. The trademark, okay, here's the issue. Backlash escalated when it was reported that Todd's company attempted to trademark transition blush, capitalizing on a technique heavily attributed to Esther. This is, the Patrick publicly dismissed the backlash, leaving comments, adding, saying that she's clout chasing and that kind of thing. The beauty community widely rallied around Esther, criticizing Patrick for failing to collaborate or credit an independent Black creator. And I think like we are the challenge with this too, generally speaking, is that the more we like the creator community overall has just been experiencing this. Whether it is the person that, whether it is the Mel Robbins taking the let them theory from the student, whether it is the B Simone taking the creators, you know what I mean? It's just like this idea of creators being protected across the board in this climate is a challenge. And it really makes you think about what are the steps, and I'm not necessarily asking you to answer this, but it's like, what are the steps that you need to do to really protect yourself? Well, I will ask you this. In you working at all these like bigger brands, what steps have you seen them take to protect themselves, maybe even early on? I'd be curious if you have any that you can share, because I know, there might be things you can't.
I would say they do exactly what we saw Patrick Todd do, is use the legal system. They have the capital to quickly trademark something, and they know that, I can file this application and it gives me, temporary rights or whatever. So I would say they fully lean on having those resources. And that's our gap, is we don't have the resources to do it the same way. So we see our ideas being taken and, being ran with it and not being able to benefit from it. And I think what makes this situation so interesting is like, usually creators, it's like they say something on social media and then everyone is kind of just like, yeah, whatever. But like this time it was so interesting because everyone is rallying around it. Because I think we're just fed up of seeing it, like constantly our ideas being taken, us being pushed out of corporate, all these things going on. So it's good to see it. And I think that maybe if we don't have the capital, if we continue to support each other and rally around each other, and boy, let me not say that, but maybe not support some of these bigger companies or other, people who take from the community, I think that we can make an impact that way too.
So one of the things that I want to say, thank you for that. So I think there's a couple of things. I think that we often say we don't have the resources, but I don't know what that means. Okay, I want to be honest in this instance and in some of the IP instances, right? So patents cost a lot. Like it costs a lot to try to patent something. And you're usually going through a lawyer, a search firm. Like there's like layers and layers and layers in a patent, in the sense of the patent. And a lot of stuff is not necessarily going to get through a patent process, right? A trademark is not as heavy of a lift in terms of how much it costs, right? So I think that sometimes as creators, people just don't think to do the thing.
Yeah.
Because you're just like, hey, whatever. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to like, who's going to still, maybe.
Exactly.
And I can't speak for her.
Yeah.
I can't, I don't want to speak to her specific situation, but sometimes it's like, nobody's going to really work. So you just like, ain't nobody going to, you know what I mean? You just like, ain't nobody going to do that. We good. Yeah. Or you don't even think to say somebody's going to do it or not do it, because as an artist, you should be able to create and put something into the world and not worry about the fact that somebody's going to come try to steal your IP. So I think some of it is like, resource is a big word. Like, I think when we say like, we don't have the resources, it's not always we don't have the money, right? Like people out here got Gucci bags, Louis Vuitton bags, Louis Vuitton down, a Gucci belt, a freaking like, you got all this. You can't tell me, oh, but we ain't got no money to get a trademark, but you got a designer bag in your closet. And I don't mean that I'm not saying that to wag a finger. I'm saying we got to reshape our perception of resource.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you didn't take your $350, if you took your $350 and you bought a bag, have at it. But I'm not sure you could turn around and then say, well, I didn't have the resource to get my trademark. Well, my shoes was $2,000. I'm just saying that, like, as an entrepreneur, you trading off. As an artist, you trading off. You're figuring out what's important at what time. And that bag and them shoes could be important because I've been in rooms where if your bag wasn't right, you didn't look like you fit in. I also want to acknowledge that. Like, let's keep it 100. We always talk about the bags and the shoes as if they're like these ancillary whatever items. They're not always. When you trying to move in a room, you trying to look the part. I've been in a room where I'm looking at my bag like, okay, am I signaling what I need to signal to be in this room? You know what I mean? But I'm also saying multiple truths are here. Yeah. And I think we sort of, as a community, always lean into, well, we didn't have the money. No. Some of this is not that. And if you work with any entrepreneur support organization, so if you've worked any of them out there, any local, even if you know of a CDFI near you, go ask them for the resource of a trademark attorney. Go ask them, hey, do you know anybody that I can help secure my IP? Go and ask them. We do know people that can help you secure a trademark, right? Now, I can't lay claim to whatever their fees are, but I'm just saying that, like, we know people, right? And even with getting a lawyer, lawyers are expensive. It is true. I ain't gonna sit here in front and tell y'all the lawyers ain't expensive. It usually starts with about $5,000. If you got $5,000, and I'm not saying that's everybody, again, being honest, if you got $5,000 to put toward getting a lawyer, you can start processes in a certain way that can help you get to what you want to get. Now, getting a trademark ain't $5,000. I'm just telling y'all generally speaking, if you got about $5,000, you can start your legal relationship for what you're trying to get done, and it hammers away hours wise. Because these are things that I didn't know that worked this way that I want to share too. Like, I didn't know that. Like, when I started, I'm thinking you pay for a lawyer like you pay for anything else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I got to pay for a lawyer. The lawyer says that my fee is going to be $500.99. Oh my God, I got to come up with $7,599. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, that's how you work with a lawyer. And then as we started getting a legal team at BGV and like other things, I'm like, oh, and I had to do some custody stuff for my daughter. Like, and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, so you put down a dollar amount, and whatever that lawyer's their hourly rate is, they will work until that dollar amount is out, considering whatever you need to get done. And then what they'll do is, and you can ask them, like, about how many hours do you think this is going to take? But they are all billing at an hourly rate. You're putting down an amount, and then as they work, they take away from that amount until that amount is gone. And a good base amount is about $5,000. So I wanted to share that in case people have never worked with a lawyer, or in case you're being like, I can't afford to hire a lawyer. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing you might be thinking. Anyway, it has nothing to do with what Vatni is talking about. But I wanted to just bring that up because resource means a lot. It means authentic conversations like this. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, having it as a resource to be like, well, I never had to call on a lawyer before, but at least now I know it's not so intimidating to say, like, if I got $3,500 and I got a lawyer billing at a decent rate, I could probably get a decent amount of things done. Like, a trademark application doesn't cost it costs about $350, right, to do the actual piece, but the lawyer fees may be lower than something else you might need because it's just them submitting the application. And then when it comes back, they may have to do some conversations with the trademark office. But I mean, like, it's probably in the realm of bigger things to pay for. It could be a fairly simple process that doesn't cost $10,000. You know what I mean? So it's like helping people understand, like, this is accessible. And I think, Ivani, what I love about what you're doing, launching Reverie. So let's get into that. If you're just joining us, meet Ivani. She is a executive in the beauty industry, and she is launching her own fragrance. And so I want to hear more about that before I have to let you go, because I have Asha here too, ready to come up. So I want you to tell us a little bit more about Reverie, what it's about. I don't know how far you want to go. What are the notes, like, that kind of thing. I'm interested.
Yeah. So the brand is Reverie. The first fragrance is called Soon Come, which is, a Jamaican phrase. And it's my background. I'm Jamaican and Bahamian. So it is tied to that. There has never been, I actually found this out like a month ago. I didn't even know. There has never been a fragrance inspired or based on Jamaica. There's been
Mm.
Caribbean fragrances, there's been beach inspired fragrances, but nothing like specifically for the island. So this perfume is niche. Everything that I do is kind of niche. So there'll be aquatic notes. And actually, so in Jamaica, we drink this bush tea. It's called Cerasee. We literally pick it off the bush, boil it. It's like a rite of passage growing up. It's disgusting. But it has a very specific fragrance or note aroma. So what I'm doing is I'm working with the perfumers to recreate that note. We're just going to make it smell better and just do something dedicated to the island. So I'm super excited for it. So it's a fragrance studio. That's the first fragrance. And then the other piece of it is a print magazine. I'm a print girl. I love it. I had a print magazine a few years ago. Due to resources, I wasn't able to print it, but you know, did the whole thing. But anyway, so I've always wanted to bring that back in a way, and also I feel like now I have the space, the creativity, the energy to do that. So for every fragrance, there will be a print magazine that coincides with it. So I'll be inviting artists and photographers
Mm.
and writers to just create some art that is related to the concept of the fragrance. So the magazine won't specifically be related to Jamaica, but it could be the artistic interpretation of what does arriving mean to you? What does returning home mean to you? So that's the broader idea. But it's going to be 2 fragrances a year, super small, niche, starting with D2C and some smaller boutiques, but launching next June. So right now we are in the branding phase, and then we're working on the perfume. So that takes about 9 months to a year. But I'm super excited, and then we're going to start working on the second fragrance. So, um, you know, I've been working on this for like 7 years, so I'm ready
Mm.
to get it out in the world.
Awesome. Where can people go to check it out, get involved, sign up for a list?
Yeah, if anyone wants to follow me on LinkedIn or Instagram, both are my name. So I'm building in public. That's my thing. I'm trying to show up and, let people know what I'm working on. So yeah, I'm posting updates and I'll be sharing more on there. But yeah, I'm super excited. And thank you, Omi, for this. What you are doing is amazing. Having this room, these conversations for, founders and other entrepreneurs to have these important conversations. So thank you for allowing me to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming up and sharing with us what you're working on. And we'd be excited to see it. I think, my first thought was, why would you do print right now in like such a digital world? But then when you started talking about basically creating a world around the fragrance, I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. I also think like, you were mentioning like it won't necessarily be a print magazine for Jamaica, but I think you should consider that actually, or Caribbean centered. And I say that because I think from a revenue standpoint, like niching into that community and thinking about all the shops that are Caribbean owned, I think there is a entire market of people for you to put the print magazine. So I think like you could have your own little distribution network, not little, but your own distribution network of Caribbean owned businesses where the print magazines are. And even though and thinking about just like the immigrant community in general. So like when you say like what it means to come home, like what it means to feel these things. I think if you're using language that is related to Caribbean culture, then I think you gear towards that. If you're using, introducing or using different languages or deciding to partner in different ways, then the immigrant community in general could be great, like a print magazine specifically for that. I think like that you could be onto something. And I think when you think about it from a diaspora standpoint, if the print magazine with the fragrance is niched in a certain way, you could also go to places where where the diaspora is vast, like
Mm-hmm.
London. You know what I mean? So I think like you could be thinking about like other places around the world that the fragrance lives with the print. The
Mm-hmm.
print lives with the fragrance, and whoever gets to whichever one first understands that the other one exists. Now I think like that's part of the creating
Yeah,
a world, like world building. I
exactly.
mean, you know this because you're in beauty, but I think like I think so. The niche of it all might actually make it work and better. And and keeping it 100. I don't know if people know the stats, but in terms of diaspora, Caribbean owned businesses or Caribbean founders outpace Black founders and other founders in the diaspora in the states specifically. When you go broader, we probably could get more into like African founders, that kind of thing. But I mean, like in the U.S. specifically, Caribbean founders outpace Black founders. So, I mean, and we all Black, but you get what I'm saying. So I think that like, so anyway, I'm sad to say, I'm excited to see what you do with it. Go for it. I love a good scent. I
Me
don't I
too.
don't know about the bush tea. I know about the bush tea, but I don't know what it smells like. I didn't grow up that way. However, I'm about a good scent. Okay.
I got
And I'm
you.
about a
You're
good
very
magazine,
reasonable.
by the way. So
I got you. I got you. What kind of
yeah.
fragrances do you like? What do you gravitate into?
I'm a sweet girl,
Okay.
but there's this coconut and pear mix up in a candle that I really, really love, and they only sell it at Walmart. I
Mm.
cannot find this candle anywhere else. But the coconut pear scent together is something I'm trying. Like it's funny you said it
Okay.
about the scent because I've been thinking to myself, like, what scent would I want to put together or wear? And so I worked with, I don't know the proper name, but a woman who does. I had her come in and we did a bunch of things around scent
Mm-hmm.
for me and like testing out different ones. Because even with the work I do, like through breath work, so outside of BGV, I'm a breath work practitioner and a
Okay.
sound healer. And so I'm always thinking about how do I create the warmth in a space, in any space I'm in? What kind of incense is that? What kind of fragrance is that? What kind of mix is that? And so there's a couple lanes to that. There's that coconut pear scent I really love, but there's also like basil and Florida water creates
I
like
love that.
that's also basil and Florida water together. If you boil the basil mixed with Florida water, that's also a cleansing spray, but but for like spiritual cleansing. But the smell is just so like great. You know what I mean? Like it is I think that is what I'm looking for, that smell that makes you go, hmm. It
Mm-hmm.
just settles you into your spirit
Yeah.
is what I'm always looking for. So one day I'll do it and get serious about building out my own
Do
scent.
it.
I'll
Yeah,
do
but
it.
that's
But for
exactly how I
now,
think about fragrance. It's like a mood. I think about the fragrance and the print mag as objects that you own, that you're proud of, that you want to have on display in your home. Because real quickly, just to go back to like your conversation about the bag and the shoes, like everything that you adorn yourself with is a representation of you, and people are looking at that, unfortunately. So I just think fragrance is another extension of that.
someone said, keep me posted if she ever creates something for men.
Yes. Oh, so it will be unisex. It'll be gender
Okay.
neutral. The first fragrance, it will.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right. Well,
Thank you, Omi.
thank you. Thank you for joining me. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. If you just tuning in, thank y'all for watching. I'm Omi Bell. You're watching the 30 Day Show. This is the BGV edition. So if you've been following for a while, I have the 30 Day Show. I have a co-host on the 30 Day Show, Cameron Trimble, a good friend of mine. Well, we went live. He wasn't there every day. God bless him though. He was there most of the days. I will say that he was. He rocked it out with me. So shout out to Cameron. You can also go check him out at Digital Directors Playbook on social media. He is a former White House digital director for the White House, and he's given the game on what you need to do for your social media. So Digital Directors Playbook, shout out to Cameron. And so we went live for 30 days straight, including weekends. Now, this 30-day show is on the BGV side. So I'm going live on BGV platforms as well. And we are doing Monday through Friday. But the cool thing about the 30-day show is that we don't gatekeep on the seat that could be in the interview seat. we invite people to come. We invite people from all walks of life to come up and share what they're working on. So up next, and my next guest is Asha Farah at Reducify, student loan readiness platform, helping college graduates strategically use the 6-month grace period before repayment begins. Inspired by paying off $130,000 in student debt in just 2.5 years, she built Reducify. So I love a good like angle and strategy, right? Like, how do we get you to pay your loans off before you enter into repayment period? And that's a specific area of folks to focus on, because maybe they got new jobs. Maybe they're still looking for a job. Maybe they like multiple things are happening to you during the time you graduate college, and now it's time for you to repay those loans. So come to the stage. I want to welcome Asha. Hello.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for that introduction. That was perfect.
Yeah, so Reducify. I see
Yes.
you are you paid off $130,000 of your own loans with some
Yep.
strategy. And do you have like a collective, or do you keep up with this? You may not, so don't feel like you have to answer this if you don't. Do you have a collective, like how many collective number of loans, like a total number that you help people reduce with your services?
Yeah, so before I get started, I want to shout you out. Thank you so much, Omi, for hosting this space, for this access and opportunity you're giving to entrepreneurs who look like me. I really want to salute you for what you're doing. So thank you
Thank
again
you.
for having me today.
Thank you.
Um, and then to your question, yeah, that's a great question. We hosted a pilot to make sure that this strategy was sound, and we helped pilot users pay off $30,000 of student loan debt. So yeah, that's something that we're really
Wow.
proud of. Yes, yes.
Now, the decision to decide to focus on people who are right after school, right before they get into repayment, did you know that you wanted to do it that way from the beginning, or was this like an evolution of like, this is the market to focus on?
That's a great question because for me, my venture is tied to my personal story, as you read in the introduction. And so I realized from my personal story that college is great at graduating you or educating you in your subject matter. But when it's time to graduate, they say goodbye and good luck. And so there is no one helping you prepare for repayment. And when you think about it, you start taking out loans at 18, between 18 and 21. There's no financial literacy at play, none. And so as you prepare for repayment, you're realizing who's helping me. And so I realized that there was this 6-month grace period where no payment is due. And like many people, I said, no payment is due. Perfect. I'm not making a payment. Like, that's the reality because most people don't know that's that secret window. So I realized that
Mm.
after the fact, like, wait a minute, for anything else, we prepare. If there's a hurricane coming, there's preparedness in place. We always prepare for something. Why don't we prepare 21-year-olds for student loan repayment? Why do we just send them in the world? And then when that first payment comes, we're expecting them to know what this language means. We're expecting them to make this payment on time. That doesn't make sense. So that's where the idea was born to say, wait a minute, there needs to be a preparedness platform for student loan borrowers. And we can do that in that critical window of opportunity during the 6-month grace period.
Oh my goodness. I love this. I
Thank
love
you
this
so much.
because, you know, well, one, I have two older children. I have a 27-year-old, 24-year-old, and I have an 11-year-old.
Yes.
And the interesting thing about it too is that I always say like we need a support group for parents of adult children, right? Even though I'm an adult, I got a parent,
Yes.
right? I got a parent. Because it's like nobody teaches you about the latter part of life, right? Like everybody taught us about adolescent development, right? Oh, what happens between the time they are born in 5, born in 7? You know, even before they even get here, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, they're the size of a grapefruit. Oh, they're the size of a watermelon. You know what I mean? But when they hit 18, ain't nobody talking to you
What
about
happens?
nothing. Nobody's telling you anything, right? And then college is mixy because it tells you, okay, they're an adult now, but you're still financially
Mm-hmm.
responsible for them. We're not gonna send you their grades, but you're still financially responsible for them. You see what I'm saying? Like there's this just weird um evolution that this window of time. And another thing I'll share with you is at BGV, when I first started, so I built the curriculums that we use. This year we're using a new curriculum that I didn't build for our emerging leaders program, but most of the curriculum that we use is curriculum that I built. And and when I was piloting the curriculum, I did like an intensive with some business owners. And even after I piloted it, in the beginning of the program, we would do this thing where we ask you like, what was your relationship with money over the course of time? So what was your relationship with money between the ages of 1 and 7? Right? What was your relationship with money between the ages of, like, we would go 7 years at a time, 7 and 14, 14 and 20, you know, like, what was your relationship with the money? And interestingly enough, even people who had a good foundation of money education from their parents as kids, always, from what we saw, dozens of people fall off after college. After college is where people's credit got lower. After college is where like, oh, they found themselves struggling. After it was like every time, even people who had good financial like education, right after college they would fall off. So I think you're on to something, because how do you start at 21, 20 to 24, or 21 to 27 in that digital literacy gap? Yes. This is so smart.
Thank you.
I'm thinking of all the people that were funded. You know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking to myself, like, this is a mutual win for banks. This is a mutual win for student loan companies. This is a mutual win to say, like, so there's just like so much here. What's been your journey in terms of where you are with full on like adapting it? Because I heard you say pilot, but now are you fully public? People can fully sign up. Where do they go to sign up? And what does the process look like?
Thank you. I'm glad you asked that. So I'm excited to share that we launch in the App Store next week. That's a really exciting part of our journey.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you so much. Just in time for the class of 2026. So congratulations to the class of 2026. We are launching for you. We recognize that this is a tough time. This is a tough political administration. There have been a lot of different political changes around student loan debt. Different policies have been shifting that haven't necessarily been for the best. So Reducify is not just a nice to have, it's a need to have right now, because you want to make sure that you understand what you're doing before repayment hits. We recognize that there are two gaps in student loan repayment. It's not that borrowers don't want to pay the money back. We found the two gaps are strategy and financial literacy. Number one, people don't have a strategy. So you get your first bill and you go, okay, is this $400 going towards the principal or the interest? What does the word principal mean? What does the word interest mean? I don't understand. So I want to make sure that people realize that we provide strategy and we increase your financial literacy during the 6-month grace period, because access to information is important. So we are launching next week, June 1st, 2026, in the App Store for the class of 2026. So if you just graduated, this is a perfect time to take advantage of the 6-month grace period. And we're starting with HBCU borrowers, because we know that borrowers at HBCUs are disproportionately impacted by student loan debt. I'm a Howard University grad myself, so I understand what that looks like. So we're starting with you. So I'm excited about that.
Oh my goodness, this is so good.
Thank you.
This is so good. How could people get in, or where should they send their kids, or where should they send their friends' kids? Like, what would be the best way?
Okay.
Because we got people know people that's graduating. You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. You can go to our website, reducifyapp.com, and you can join our wait list. You want to make sure that you're on the wait list. You don't want to have FOMO and miss out when this drop hits and you're not on that 6-month grace period taking advantage of Reducify. So join us at reducifyapp.com to join that wait list. Make sure that you're following us on all social platforms at Reducify app. We're talking Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook. Make sure that you're checking us out, because we're dropping some great information to make sure that you're ready for repayment in the next 6 months. So thank you so much.
I love that. So y'all heard it here. Reducifyapp.com If you know people who are newly graduating,
Yes.
Asha is strategically helping people reduce their student loan debt during the 6-month repayment window. I
Yes,
think this is
exactly.
so smart.
Thank
I
you.
think this is so smart. Like, it is so smart. Like, I'm like, this is really, really good. I let me know how
We're
your journey
excited about
goes.
this. We will.
Yeah,
We're
let me know.
excited about this because we know that we're shifting student loan outcomes by changing how borrowers enter repayment. We're taking that proactive approach and we know that that's going to change lives. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I think too. I think so. What I think, are you going to be raising like investment
Yeah,
dollars?
so
Like,
we've
what are you?
already raised so far about $60,000 and we're looking to raise more money because we know that the next step is working with universities. We want this to grow to university spaces because they need this more than ever for their graduating classes.
Yeah, maybe. I'm going to tell you, maybe universities. I don't think universities is the biggest customer though. I think
Okay.
your bigger customer is the people who need their money back.
Yeah, that's true.
So whoever that is, that's a big customer. They're the people who are deeply invested in these people paying that money back and what that
In the
looks like.
repayment journeys.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the people who are deeply invested in financial literacy because they also need that money too. Meaning, like, even if they, so because there's a lot here, which is why I'm excited
Yeah.
for you,
Thank
because
you.
um there's an ecosystem around financial literacy that we don't necessarily talk about, especially when you're building a company in it, right? And that
Yes.
ecosystem exists in a way of, it is like banks need people to make money, get loans, put their money in the bank, or just put their money in the bank, either and get loan, either one. Banks need that. They
Yeah.
need people who are active financially, right?
Yes.
Um, so we don't like general commerce does, but to niche that down to more like the financial sector, banks need that. The student loan companies need that. You're also gonna have, like, if you go way out, maybe some other layers of like credit bureaus. They want that. They need that, right? Like, the more that people stay active financially, the better off these systems will be able to run and serve and in multiple different things that are needed. So
That's a
I would
good
say
point.
like, as you think of who was talking about this at an event I was at recently. What is the mutual benefit? Who benefits when you benefit? When the
Yeah.
people you serve benefit, who benefits as well, right? Like, and so that's where
Yeah.
you want to intersect. Like, the colleges, yes, but like, they're like you said, they dump you out at the curb. They're not gonna,
But
whether you pay
this
that.
administration is holding them accountable. They're measuring what's called a cohort default rate, meaning if a certain amount of students default, colleges use their ability to offer financial aid to incoming students. So if their default rate is too high, they're punished because of that. So that's their incentive in this particular case
Okay.
because default rates are crazy right now. In 2025, a student loan borrower defaulted every 9 seconds. That's ridiculous. Every 9 seconds, a student loan borrower defaults. There's something that has to be done about this. So I agree with you. There are other people to look at who would be invested in the outcomes that we're delivering through Reducify.
Yeah, that's interesting. So the colleges, is this a all college wide thing, or is this like certain?
Yeah, it's a federal policy. So yeah, it's called default rate, cohort default rate. And the administration measures how many students default in a time window. So it used to be 3 years. Now they're measuring on an annual basis as well. And if they meet a certain percentage, they lose their eligibility to offer financial aid to their students. There is an appeal
Mm,
process, but that's tough, especially for HBCUs in particular. A lot of us that attend HBCUs certainly take out student loan debt. And so that's where Reducify comes in. If we're helping reduce those default numbers by intervening during the 6-month grace period, then there's an incentive to invest in us.
mm,
Yeah.
okay, I like that.
Thank you so
And
much.
then I think, yeah, because I think in that case you could find one school,
Hmm.
create a this, and this is great for revenue. Because
Yeah.
now I'm curious about like how the revenue works, but I don't want you to do all
Right.
that publicly. But because then the question becomes like, they would at least need a 3 to 6 year contract with you. Like they wouldn't be like the great part about it is like if you partner with a school, you need
It's
at
long
least
term.
it's long term. Because you so like finding a pilot school where you could sign on to a 3-year contract, and then you could maybe pace it where like there's the first 6 months. Do you do any follow on with them after that would be the case? I mean, but there's so much there. Like
Yeah,
you
there's so
almost
many angles to it.
yeah. You know, so there might be like a level 2 where you know if they're paying you enough, you're like, I'll work through this 6-month window for repayment. Actually, maybe you work a little bit before, so maybe you go like,
And that's what we want to do.
yeah, because maybe you're like, okay, well, we predict that these students are going to have student loan debt, so you know that. So you work with them a little bit, like, you know, maybe 3 to 6 months before they even get out of school. So that, I mean, it's like a really interesting.
Yeah,
Also,
it's so
like,
much.
it's so much there in terms of like partnerships, because then do you partner up with to create wins? Because it also is like partnering up with like what is it called, child? What kind of recruiters? Like who's recruiting into what roles? Like the college has
there's a workforce perspective
workforce
as well, that there's a revenue model, because again, they take in a lot of recent graduates. That's an HR incentive, so there's a business model there as well. So like you said, you can kind of see all the ways that it can go.
Yeah. But I think, you know, I think you're onto something. This sounds great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and it's relationship cycle on who's gonna get up off their money quicker. So that's the only thing about schools. School money moves slow. But these student loan folks, they need this money paid back.
Quick.
That's right. So this is great. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're out there, you're a recent grad, or you have some recent grads that you know, reducifyapp.com. They'll be launching in the App Store next week.
Yes.
Next week.
Thank you so much. Next week, I'm excited. I want to share that news with you and your community. So thank you again for this opportunity. I wish you a wonderful day.
All right. Same to you, Asha.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I love a good new invention, new app to find out about. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is one of my favorite parts of the 30-day show. Like, that's one of my favorite parts of doing this, is finding out things that you didn't even know existed that are about to exist. I have my next guest is here, but I don't see them on camera. Okay. That is definitely one of the things that when I see that, I'm like, yes, this is why we do it. Because to be honest with you, that's the thing about like not gatekeeping on the interview seat, because I don't know how I would have found her. You know, like I don't know how I would have found her or brought her to the platform without just opening it up and being like, hey, who's out there wanting to interview? I think that's one of the, that I keep telling people. In watching all these interviews online, I don't know a celebrity that I need to hear more from. You know, no tea, no shade, but it's like, I watched y'all interview 100,000 times. We at the point we are at a point with celebrity interviews that we might know their middle name and their firstborn. You know, it's like after we know all that, what else is there? We know your mama name. You know what I'm saying? Like you get exhausted with hearing interviews from the same people over and over and over. So this is one of the things that excites me most about doing a 30-day show. And the one that y'all are watching is the BGV Edition, which we go live Monday through Friday. It's 6 a.m. PST, 9 a.m. EST. But when I do it on the only platforms, we go 30 days straight, weekends included. But I'm kind of glad to have my weekend free. I'll be honest. The 30-day show, when I do it, it's hardcore. We're going every day. Let's go. Who can we talk to? Who can we interview? Let's put it out there. But today is day 10 of the 30-day live show, BGV Edition. And we've had some amazing people so far, and we're going to keep the party going. So up next, my guest is Ray Michael. She is an entrepreneur, coach, and leader, passionate about helping women build what God has placed in their hands while leading people to Christ. With over a decade of experience in ministry, operations, leadership, and the nonprofit sector, I want to bring to the stage our last guest for today, Ray.
Hi,
Hello.
good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. So, you're building something, right? You're building a coaching business, sitting around helping women dig into their dig into their passions. And so, tell me about your story. Like, what is your story for how you came to this, or why do you feel like this is important?
So, my background is in human resources. I've been in human resources, people and culture for about 13 years. And also, I have a hair extension business. And what I realized between being a business owner and stepping, into a progressive role of leadership over the years is, women, Black women, we are underserved in so many ways. There's so much gatekeeping. There's so much, it's not that we don't have the ability, the knowledge, the skills, we have it all, but there's like a lack of systems that is not, I guess, available or taught to us. I don't even know which way to put it. This is my personal experience where I'm like, I know what to do. I'm ready to do these things. I know what God has placed in my hands, but I don't know how to sustain these things. I don't really know how to build on this firm foundation upwards. And so what kind of brought me to this place? So coupled with that, I'm also in ministry. So I'm a pastor. And I've been in ministry for maybe 7 years now. Started off, every role you could think of, youth ministry, all that stuff. And it really, not only does it humble you in such a beautiful way, but it just teaches you so much, because between all these three areas, it's about people. We can have systems, we can have operations, we can have all these things, but really the core of it is people. And so God recently placed into my heart, this coaching and consulting business, because I feel as though everything that I've gone through is pretty much boiled down to this. How do I help other people? And for me, specifically women, start, build, launch what God has placed in their hands. And it can be business, but it can also be leadership in the workplace, because that's my personal experience going through HR. I was one of the only Black women in human resources for this nonprofit that was doing great things. And I was young, and, I didn't understand office politics. I didn't understand how to really, get to the next step or the next level. I thought it was just work harder. I didn't understand this concept of work smarter. I didn't understand just so many things. And, as I begin this journey of coaching and consulting, it to me is so much about exposure, so much about, okay, what school teaches you, right? I have a master's degree. A lot of what I learned is not from school at all. A lot of it is on the job, experiences that I've gone through between building a business and between just the day-to-day of working in corporate. So that's my little spiel.
So, and I said your name wrong. It's Ray McHale. Is that
Michelle.
right?
Michelle.
Oh, Ray Michelle. Okay, I
Yes.
apologize. I don't like getting names wrong.
That's okay.
So thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna nudge you a little further though, because I wanted to know your story. So if I cannot remember this woman's name at the moment. I'm trying to remember it, but she is a fairly well known and celebrity coach. And I was talking to her. I was interviewing her for my Sirius XM show. And she said something, and I was like, oh, that's a good note. Because I was like, how do people know what coach to hire, who they should hire? And she's like, you got to ask your coach about their transformation. Like, you got to interview the person, ask them about their own transformation. What has been the best coaches have their own transformation that has happened to them. So I love the spiel that you gave me, because now, and I'm also wondering, while you were talking, I was thinking, I wonder how much you have to unlearn as well, like in terms of like being a great coach or coaching people, because I think when we're in these executive roles in corporations, we got to button it up. You know what I mean? We got to make it be a certain thing, and people need to learn what that feels like. How does that work? How do you button it up? How do you walk into these rooms, sit at these tables, have these bid negotiations, make deals, stand your ground, use your voice. I'll use that. Use your voice. What does that look like? What has been your own transformation that's led you to saying coaching is the thing?
I think it would be understanding that our voices are valid, that my voice was valid. I think culturally, I grew up Haitian, and I think between stepping into the corporate world and even, certain classes in college, I just always been taught, like, don't be the person that, stirs anything up, confrontation. Why? You never know what people can do. It was always like this fear. And, I had to unlearn not asking questions. So I had to learn to be inquisitive. Like that was so hard for me because, I'll give you an example, like even stepping into, I was an HR assistant. That was my first corporate role. And, I would just do the thing. Hey, can you do A, B, C, and D? And I'd be like, okay, but I had so many questions. I really wanted to understand, like, why am I doing this? What's the bigger picture? What can I gain from this? But I would do the thing and I would do it well, but it would just be that isolated thing. And so I had to unlearn so many things that to me were cultural, being a woman, just speak unless you're spoken to. You don't have to go do extra. Just do the thing that's in front of you and do it well. Do it with all your might. Just work really, really hard. So I think there's several things, but a part of it is understanding that, my voice was valid and that at the same time, I don't have to be the loudest person in the room. At the same time, I could still be myself. I don't have to step outside of who I am, but how do I nurture the person that I am? How do I cultivate this, still stand out without, being this angry person that people perceive me to be because of the color of my skin? How do I do these things? So it was a lot of unlearning, including learning to be inquisitive, learning that my voice was valid, learning that you belong in the rooms. There were times where I felt like, I don't even think I should be here. That was a real thing for me. And that could be in a group setting. That didn't even have to be in corporate. It was just like, everybody's so extroverted, being an introvert. That's something that that was huge for me. Because growing up, I don't know. I felt like I was taught this. I had to unlearn. The best leaders were extroverted. It was something they were just born with. And, if you loud and you speak like da, 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 then and that's who people wanted to follow. And I said, my first actual job was at JCPenney. It was in retail and I had a boss like that. And I remember telling somebody like my dream, I was like, I want to work in HR. That was my thing. And I want to lead people. They was like, you too kind, like you nice, you can't lead people. And I was like, why do people have to feel like they can only be led by fear and intimidation? I didn't want that. I said, I want to be a leader that's respected, not feared. And I still want to be kind. I still want to carry all the fruits of the Holy Spirit. And one of them is kindness. So it was so hard because it was cultural, it was societal. Like somebody this is my peer who's talking to me like, you'll never, like, no, you got to be like this person. I'm like, I don't want to. That's how I grew up. My dad, listen, strict. This is what you're doing. That's it. So there was a lot of unlearning that really, I think, led to my transformation and brought me to here.
What do you want people to know about you as a coach? Like, why should they sign up to work with you?
I think what I bring is a little unique to coaching. For me, my emphasis right now is one-to-one. I've done like group, and it's until I perfected and really get to that point, like I'm really passionate about working with the individual, because what they're on, listen, if you have a group program or whatever it is, like people get lost and they drown, like you can pay for all the classes and the courses that you want, but what God has placed in your hands is so unique to you. It's so individualized. Like there's something that even how you start. And a lot of it is a mindset shift. So for me, it's coupling, yes, practical business strategies. There's not enough of that information out there, like the basics of building a business, the basics of starting, but also what does the Bible say? Right. We talk a lot about marketing, but Jesus was one of the greatest, I think, marketers. Like the way he cast that net, okay, like how he got his people to follow him. We're talking about building our teams. We're talking about building our organizations, our destiny helpers. The way that he went to the fishermen and the tax collector, the way that he picked the people, like there's so much to be said about that. And then on top of that, the Holy Spirit, right? So you have a vision, but what is God saying now? God might have given you that vision years ago. He might have implanted that into you. And now you feel the pushing and the tugging to get to that next place. But what is he saying now about it? How is he asking you to move? What is the direction that he's giving you? A lot of times we want to build, I don't know what that saying is. Rome wasn't built in a day. Like we want to build the whole building, but first lay the first brick. What's the next step? So for me, what I want somebody to know that it is about, the business principles or the business strategies that are practical, but it's also coupling it with the Word of God and the Holy Spirit.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. I think, my thought is, I see where you're going. I see what you're working on. Mm-hmm. I think that from where I'm sitting, at least, I'm seeing people change or shift around the way they would like to receive information, right? I think the alignment would be in faith-based people want that. But I think there's also a lot of talking at people versus to people. And I think that's shifting. So the talking at people versus to people is shifting. And we've seen it happen with a lot of the different churches that have come up or evolved that have way more the pastor seems more friendly. Versus kind of sit on high, look low kind of thing. Yeah. And so I think that we're seeing I think there's going to be lots of transformation happening in terms of how churches are able to serve in business. I remember when I was working at Google, they had an initiative where they were working through different churches around business education, things like that. That was really cool. And because in the Black churches is more than the Black church specifically is more than just a place you go to receive faith or talk about faith. It's a place you're going for community. It's a place you're going to get news. It's a place you're building your friends. The place you are, it's great to hear people working on. It's a place where you can actually grow your business. I am gonna say to you though, I think you should consider figuring out a real, true, authentic, actual story. Because nothing you told me was about you. I still don't know much about you. I just knew you grew up Haitian. But but you're not giving me an opportunity to feel who you are. You're telling me who you are, but I really wanted to feel it. Well, here's what I went through. I was whatever. I still don't. I wanted to get into what's the real story? Yes, to people need to think like this, and then people need. Love that. Yes, people need everything you say. You're absolutely correct. But who are you though? Love that. People are going to gravitate more to people that really just authentically say who they are deeply. What have you actually experienced? What did you actually work? What actual city? What actual moment? What's this? Give me color to it, right? We want to watch the movie and we want to be with the character, right? We don't want to watch the trailer and then be oh, okay, we've seen that movie before, right? I think that's the difference in where people are now with their faith, where people are now with coaching, where people are now with programs they enter into, where people are now with deciding what they buy into. Is we no longer want to watch the trailer and then be that's real great. Love that. I'm inspired by that. I might talk to them one day. We want to be this movie character is my sister, my friend, is me on the inside. what does that look like? And that's going to be different levels with different people, for sure. As we see, like, to your point around marketing, what stories do we know? What's the literal story?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And to go back to your first point about just like the transformation and the shift in, like, especially Christian contemporary churches, like how people being talked at versus kind of meeting them where they are. I think that there is a huge shift, at least in the last 10 years, being, to me, a part of like a transformative church where like you can touch the leader, right? Like metaphorically speaking, of course, but like, where they're tangible, they're talking to you, they're having these small groups, whereas everything was always corporate. It's even when I speak at churches, like I'm always asking myself, like, all right, like how do I make sure that it's not, you need to do this and this is how it should be, just always like self-reflecting. Even when I'm getting ready to talk to a group or whatever it is, there is a shift, and people are understanding, like, with different generations coming into just being birthed, just coming into the church and being leaders. Like people are being leaders younger and younger, especially in ministries.
Absolutely.
How do we, and I feel like this also for every aspect of leadership, like whether in the church or not, like I think the strongest leaders are people who meet people where they are. And so you're seeing a more increase in that, I think. And then with Instagram and social media, giving us more exposure and insight into how that's done, like people are being more vulnerable, which brings me into the other thing you said, even about my story. I'll say one of the things that I think is a big struggle, and goes back to what I was saying about culture, is the I guess the desire to even be vulnerable, right? Because when it comes to your story, there's so much. And it's like, well, what do I say that's okay, right? We're on a live setting, I'm sure this is our first time meeting ever. And so it's like, how deep do I go, and cultivating, that piece. What do people want to hear where I feel like I still feel safe, So, but either way, that's good. Good.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for saying that, because I think that's what needed to be said. And so from what I can hear is that once you get on the other side of that, you're going to see your business take off in ways that you didn't think it could. But I think it is getting on the other side of, how do I feel safe and share at the same time? And what does that look like?
Right.
And knowing that, like, as this is something that God has really laid on your heart, that you're safe anywhere. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. Like, your safety doesn't come from any people. Yeah, like your safety is in God. Your safety is in what God gave you to do. And that's truly on your heart, and that's truly where you want to be. And so sometimes for us, there's a friction between, like, all right, God, okay, you said this. you giving me, like, you said it. I got the platform, but like, really, what you saying though? You know what I mean? And it's like, and that is a real experience that we go through. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going through some of that myself. So, I truly, and people get that. And I think that, like, I believe that, and I would say God is an all-encompassing word for me personally. God is an all-encompassing word for the universe, and the God of your heart, whatever that means for everybody listening, right? Not being attached to, for me personally, any one religion or practice, because I believe, like, we can touch all hearts and all people, and in different ways. And sometimes we just get stuck on a religion. It's like, hey, practice what you need to practice, what you need to practice for the light within you. I believe that right now we are living in a time where everybody that is practicing positivity and what I consider light work is being called out to do that. Like, hey, being called to arms almost. Like, hey, you got a calling, come, like, do it. If God is sharing it with you, do it. If God is landing on your heart, go for it. Like, go for it all the way, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of what you think might come at you. Don't be afraid of what it means to be too vulnerable or not. Don't be afraid of looking weak. Don't be afraid of because on the other side of that is also all that God has for you to bring you into exactly the reason why it was laid on your heart. If it was laid on your heart to do, it's for you to do. Come on and do it. And do it like you're doing it for TV. Do it 100%. Do it full out. And don't worry. And I think that like that message of don't worry feels up against like different realities. It could be a lot of friction, right? Because you're like, wait a minute, what you mean? But if I say this, but what if I, yeah, it's like that. But what if I say this and that's too much, or I said it wrong, or I said, especially now and today. But I think like you have something so also so uniquely you, and some story in there that we're not gonna get to tell today because I gotta get ready to go. So do you, but some story in there that you're not telling yet that is the breakthrough for not only for you, but it's the breakthrough for anybody that hears it. That immediately they're gonna sign up, they're gonna gravitate, they're gonna become your flock, they're gonna become your fans, or they're gonna want to know more because they felt it. And I think the kicker is like getting to that place, because that place is so beautiful, but it also can feel raw until you practice it enough till it's not. Like after you practice it enough, it's not. I'm sure the first time when you did your initial sermon, it was like, jitters, you know what I'm saying? Now you're 7 years in and you get on the stage and bear with the best of them. You know what I mean? So I think like, and those jitters still will come in the moment you're about to do the thing, because that's just you feeling the spirit with you, in my opinion. And so I think what you're thinking about is great. I think, clearly what God has laid on your heart to do is like immensely valuable. And I think that many women's lives will be changed. And so I'm excited for the day where you find your complete safety in God in a way where you don't have to ask these questions of, is it too vulnerable? What do I share? Is it too public? Is it not? And you're just going for it, because I can see the amount of impact it is going to have. And so, yeah, I wish you the best for sure.
Thank you so much. That's so good. Just sharing about, the story itself, and how people desire that, I love to hear that. And, coming into different rooms and hearing from other women, a lot of times it's, what's the service? How do you help impact or transform my life? But the story. So I'm going to take that to Jesus, and I'm going to pray, and, and we'll work on it together, because I know I'm ready to tell it all.
You got it. And when you do, you're going to see the impact immediately. So yeah, for sure. Thanks so much for joining me, Ray Michelle. We appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank y'all so much for joining me out there. We got 3 minutes left in the show. I mean, the show goes where the show needs to go. The show goes where the show needs to go. And I believe that is divine for sure in general. Again, I say, we are being, if it came to you to do it, you then do it. Yeah, like, I mean, granted, yes, be strategic, yes, map out a plan, yes, like, I'm not saying like, don't, when people say like, oh, you building you entrepreneurs jump off the cliff and build a plane, what? No, time out. I'm not saying that you need to do that, okay? I am saying that if you're feeling called to it, if it's laid on your heart, it is for you to do. I am saying that. And so in that case, you should strategically start to move into it. And I talked about this yesterday. It's like, if your next bet has to make up for all the losses, then how big are you betting? If your next bet on yourself has to make up for every loss that you've ever had, how big are you betting on yourself? And so I'll leave you with that. I want to say thank y'all for joining me. This is the 30-Day Show. I'm Omi Bell. My co-host, Takia Ross, will be back here with me on Monday. And I'm headed to Chicago. So BGV has events this weekend. If you're in Chicago, we're going to be there. Go to bgblackgirlventures.org. Look up the events. Also, we have a summit that's happening that we are working on right now. Actually, let me put the link on the screen for y'all to go. So to find out, donate and participate, okay? Donate and participate. There we are. Donate and participate. Black Girl Ventures, BGV Foundation, bit.ly/BGV links. If you're on Instagram, then you can actually just click the link right there in the, actually, let me do this. I'm going to drop the link. I dropped it one time if you're on some other platform. LinkedIn doesn't allow you to be able to communicate from here. So sorry about that for my LinkedIn folks. But I'll have to post it on my LinkedIn later. Donate and participate. We need your donations. And so I'm going to put the link here. Donate and participate. If you're on Instagram, you should see a little link at the bottom of the screen. If not, then you can go to bit.ly/BGV links. Thank y'all so much. We'll be back on Monday. This is the 30-Day Show. I'm Omi Bell. I really appreciate all of my guests today. What great conversation. Y'all have a good weekend, all right? Y'all come back now. You hear?